Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Piper Report. So I wanted to do a quick little update regarding election night right now. And for the most part, it was as predicted. The Republicans would gain some seats in the Senate, and they would lose the House. I had the Senate roughly 53 to 55 Republicans, and the way things are going right now, it appears to be that way. For instance, Kramer did win North Dakota. I think that puts him at 51, not 50 to be honest, but it looks like Rick Scott is going to win Florida, so they'll add another one. Josh Hawley's probably going to win Missouri. This is not right. It hasn't updated yet, but he's looking like he's going to win Missouri. Ted Cruz won Texas, even though that's not a pickup. That's just staying. The senator, Indiana, went to Mike Braun. So, and it looks like Arizona here, Martin McSally right now is actually beating Sinema as of now. It's only like 10 or 11% of the vote in, so it's not over yet. But if she would win this, and if Florida goes to Rick Scott, and if Missouri goes to Josh Hawley, looking at around 55 rough Republicans in the Senate. The House is different. I had the House around 225 total for the Democrats, and based on kind of this estimate, they'll be around 230. So it's kind of close right now. And again, it all comes back to some key aspects. For the most part, in terms of the House of Representatives, the majority party in the midterms is always at risk. Historically speaking, they do worse than the minority party. It's just the way things are. So, to that regard, and with this anti-Trump hysteria in the House, and in the House, election is every 2 years for every single member of the House of Representatives, it was more than likely going to go blue. Now, I wouldn't say this is a blue wave. This definitely is a victory, though. Like I said, I had them around 225. Looks like I might have been off around 5 seats. So it's still a victory for them. The question is now, what does this mean? Well, if you watch CNN, which I have been over this election coverage, the way they make it sound, it is the end of Donald Trump. Jake Tapper even said, if he thinks CNN is bad, just wait till he has a Democratic majority House and Nancy Pelosi leading them. The way they made it sound, the Democratic Party in the House is going to destroy Donald Trump. Like, just watch them. I've never seen so many well, I have seen it, I guess, but so many news anchors basking in this glow. Like, it looks to them like Christmas came early. I've never seen CNN so happy before, except maybe when Barack Obama was actually winning, because they seem to love him a lot. But I think the real question is, what does this mean? Well, in terms of the Senate, this is good for Donald Trump and the Republicans, because when Donald Trump elects new judges or new members to the federal government, it is the Senate, and only the Senate, that confirms his nominees. And due to Harry Reid getting rid of the filibuster rule, and then Mitch McConnell getting rid of the filibuster for the Supreme Court, the Republicans in Congress, in the Senate, only need a simple majority vote, 51. And even if it was tied 50 to 50, they would still have Mike Pence, because as vice president, he is the president of the Senate, and thus he can vote. So this means that, say, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, if she dies in the next 2 years, which looks pretty likely to be honest, you can see pictures of her sleeping during the State of the Union. She doesn't look all quite there. I think she had surgery or cancer a couple times already. So if that happens, Donald Trump could pick whomever he wanted, and they would get nominated and confirmed easily. That's just the way the Senate is shaping up right now. The House is different. The House can try to impeach Trump. They have the numbers now, but the impeachment won't go anywhere, because even though they could impeach him, the Senate still has to do the investigation, and in the end, the Senate has to vote on it. That's not going to happen. And I think Nancy Pelosi said, this was months ago, that she doesn't think they can even impeach Trump. If you watch the corporate left mainstream media, you would think that there are so many things that Donald Trump has done that could lead to him being impeached. It's just not the case. It's not the case at all. It's fear-mongering at its best. They're just trying to make everyone think Donald Trump is literally a dictator, literally Hitler, which is not my quote. People have said that. He's literally Hitler. And then you question them. Do you know what Nazi Germany was like? Yeah, I'm living in it now. No, not quite. So it is interesting there. So the Republicans in the Senate, they have the ability now to get a lot more judicial nominees confirmed, a lot more members of the federal government confirmed, and it will be good for them on that way. The Democrats now, they do have a position of authority because now they can oppose certain legislation. Which is really interesting now, is that this would be the time for the political polarization happening in the country to mitigate. Since there is a right-wing Senate and a left-wing House, members of Congress should be able to work together to create legislation that both parties want and send it to Donald Trump. Yet somehow I don't see that happening. I think the House of Representatives, under a Democratic control Congress, they are going to attack Donald Trump. They are not going to attack his administration. They will, but not primarily. They are going to attack him as a person. I would not be surprised if you see members of the House digging back into Donald Trump's past 20, 30, 40 years ago. Really, they should be focusing on legislation and what is happening in the country today. But no, they're going to go after Donald Trump with everything they have, from his present to his future and to his past. Their main focus is going to be to destroy Donald Trump, instead of actually working with the other party and trying to get legislation passed. So now, to wrap things up, what does this mean for Donald Trump? Well, I think Trump is going to adopt a Barack Obama type style of presidency now. We all remember when Obama said he doesn't need Congress, he has a phone and a pen. I think Donald Trump is going to take those words to heart. I think you will see him do a lot more executive actions. I think he's going to really bring out his Obama, if you will, and use his executive authority to get the legislation he wants through. He will, of course, receive opposition from the House, but Obama did too, and Obama even violated court rulings that said what he did was unconstitutional, like the Clean Power Act, for instance, and many, many other things. So it should be interesting. We are going to see a tug-of-war between the Senate, the House, and the presidency. It should really be interesting. In the end, though, I wish they would work together and pass legislation, because I think they can. I really do think they can. I am a pessimist by nature. However, I really think that many members of Congress, despite what party they belong to, they do want many of the same things. But I think there's so much bickering back and forth that they are unwilling to work with the other party. Because it all comes back to this. Let's say, okay, let's back up a little bit more, sorry. The minority party doesn't want the majority party to succeed. Even if the majority party succeeds, it may benefit the country dramatically. They still don't want them to succeed. And why? Because if the majority party succeeds, then the minority party is doomed in the midterms. The American people are going to vote out the minority party because the majority party is doing great. So even though members of Congress say, no, we want to work with the president, we want to work with the other party, really they don't, because it's job security for them. If they can put blame on the other party, look it, they are not getting things done. This is why you need more Democrats in Congress. Then they have created more of a headline for themselves come next election. It's a sad world we live in, which I think is why we need term limits. Because as long as there's no term limits, you're going to see this back and forth. Instead of people coming together to try to succeed and help out the country, you're going to see them blaming others, finger pointing, because they want their party to be in control. But yeah, I kind of went on a long digression there. Should be interesting overall. Just to repeat one last time, Republicans in the Senate roughly 53 to 55, in the House 225 to 230 for the Democrats. It's going to be a split Congress. I think Donald Trump is going to use a lot more executive authority. Donald Trump is going to be able to actually get more nominees confirmed in the Senate. The House is going to be attacking Donald Trump and searching into his history, trying to get his tax returns and things of that nature. So it should be an interesting next couple years. And I'm done.